Maoz, I have to start by saying how honored I am to have you here. Your story is one that really, stops people in their tracks, losing both of your parents in such a horrific way, and yet choosing not only to keep going, but to build something out of that pain. It's just incredible. And so thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. Thanks.
And I know you've spoken about the loss of your parents before, and I don't want to revisit that pain, but rather understand the moment that changed everything for you. Can you share where you were when you first learned what had happened and what you remember feeling in that moment?
So the last phone call with my father was from the room I'm speaking with you now. It's where I live in the last 20 years in Binyamina. It's a small town between Tel Aviv and Haifa on the coastline. And my dad was just sharing, it was 7:30 in the morning, that there is a war going on around them, bombs, rockets, shooting and sirens. And few minutes after when I called him, there was no answer. So I spoke to my sisters, my young brother who's based in London. We woke him up and we tried to reach out to my parents. No one answered. We tried to reach out to their neighbors or people in the area, and also again no one answered. And only in the 4 in the afternoon, we were able to reach out one of the neighbors of Netiva of my parents who lives in Netiva Stara, and he told us that my parents' house is burned to ashes and that there are two bodies inside.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's like living with it like within a nightmare ever since. And yeah, and it's like ongoing tragedy. What happened to us, what's happening in Gaza, what happened to so many Palestinians and Israelis in the last 2 years. So this, and again, and the feeling, it was like I'm saying, it was like drowning in an ocean of sorrow and pain. It's not a metaphor, it's a feeling. And my entire body was broken into thousands and pieces of pieces. And since then, I'm working to heal and cure myself, and hopefully more more people, if it's for my family, and then um, with like Israelis and Palestinians. And I believe that the curing and healing can be made by choosing reconciliation, by choosing peace and working together
Mm.
with those that are many times are considered as the other side, that by shared work and shared dream, we can heal
Mm.
ourselves and our nations. So this is also I gave you in the first answer also what's the cure. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. No, it's beautiful that you feel like this and that you think like this. But did you ever, in the first moments, maybe feel like hate? Because that would be like a very normal human feeling to many people would have turned to anger, and it would have been also understandable. So what stopped you from staying in that anger place?
So I was very hateful and a lot of anger and wanting to punish and revenge in those that I believed are accountable for the death of my parents. And for me, it might be surprising, but it's not the Hamas. Hamas, for me, is a terrorist organization. We can see now how he's um, um, killing and executing even Palestinian in Gaza after the ceasefire has just started. And Hamas is a fundamental extremist organization that it's within its nature to kill innocent people. If they are Jewish Israelis, even better. But I was hateful and seeking revenge with my own government that promised us security and safety. After every cycle of war, the government will say, we deterred Hamas, we demolished their military options, and we revenge for what they have done to us, and we brought security and safety to the neighboring communities, to the Gaza Strip. And this is exactly what they said in spring 2021. And I think, and I was feeling they betrayed and they didn't fulfill their promise. And I was seeking revenge. And then I start, but also after in the Jewish culture, we do a Shiva. It's basically a 7 day of wake ceremony. And we had many Palestinians from Israel that came to the Shiva, and I had many messages from Palestinian and you, and many that I didn't. And it was my young brother who, 2 days after we lost my parents, asked us to be united with a shared message that will spread and amplify to whomever we speak to. And he wanted this message to be that we are rejecting revenge, that we don't want to revenge the death of my parents, because by revenging, we're not going to bring them back to life. Yes, it's very human to seek revenge, but it won't bring them back to life. It's not going to bring the will back. And by revenge, we're only going to escalate the cycle that is been going on for a century. It didn't start on October 7th. It didn't start in the war of 2014, Second Intifada, First Intifada. It started about a century ago, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And we're just going to escalate it by seeking and calling for revenge. And he wanted us, the children of Bila and Yacobi, to create an alternative path and that will break this cycle and create a better future for both people, Israelis and Palestinians. So this is already during the Shiva, this is what we were dealing and discussing and dialoguing within the family. And then I embarked on my personal journey to cure and heal myself, but also creating a lasting peace between Israelis and Palestinians.
You just talked about you and your family and the reactions that you had together, actually walking the same path, the path of peace. And when you think of your parents now, what do you feel they would say about the work that you're doing, this path you've chosen toward peace?
My parents, first, they were amazing people. Amazing people, and they were always very supportive of us. And even if we have done something that they thought is a mistake, they will tell us, if that's what your heart tell you, go and do it, and we'll support you in any way we can. And they were always very proud of all their children, including me, of course. And so I know they would be extremely proud of the path we took. And now the entire family is invested in peace and reconciliation. My eldest sister, Mo, is the co-chairman of the Family Forum of Bereaved Families, Israelis and Palestinian. My second sister, Maayan, is doing dialogue meetings with Palestinians all over the country and in Europe. My youngest sister, Magal, she's supporting from behind the scene, and my young brother, Magen, is based in London, is doing amazing advocacy for peace and reconciliation within the UK, in Europe, going to universities, meeting policymakers. So now the entire family, we shift our life totally. No one is doing what is done before October 7th, and now we are investing most of our time and resources in I would frame it like making my parents a sacrifice for peace and not victims of war. So this is our goal.
You know, we all wish that we had the strength, to pursue peace as you do, you and your siblings. And since I have a child myself, he's not even a year old, but sometimes, I'm thinking about it, like, what can I teach him, I'm thinking about it a lot. How could I teach him that kind of value, to be deeper than what actually happens to you in life? What values or lessons from your parents helped you become this person? What have they taught you? Something daily or like rituals or something?
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Of course.
And again, this is exactly what I'm saying now, that my parents prepared us for October 7th. They prepared us for the moment they will die in such a violence way. And also it took me a few weeks to realize it, because at the beginning I would say that nothing can prepare anyone, not you, me, or no one else, for losing both his parents and so many of his childhood friends in such a tragic terror attack. And then I realized that yes, they prepared us. And my father, he was a farmer, and for 58 years he was sowing wheat in the fields of the Negev. And every evening we had a family routine, having dinner together. And that's also something I'm trying to practice with my own family. And I recommend you, Sandra, to do the same with your child. It's really amazing family tradition. And during the dinner, everyone would share for us, I was in school, or in our hobbies, whatever we're doing after school. And my father will always share how difficult the situation in the field is. There was always a catastrophe in the field. If it's a drought, if it's a flood, if it's the tractor got broken, or there is a wildfire, or a mouse that come and eat all the crops. And so he would share that. And then me and my father, we weren't speaking a lot, but I spent days and nights with him in the fields. And I would see how from the difficulties and the catastrophes, I would hear him and see him consulting with other farmers. They would talk what they've done wrong, what they can do better. I would see him preparing the field for the next season. How we would try to choose the best seeds, and he will do experiments. He will keep experimenting with different types of different varieties of wheat and different methods of cultivating. And so we will get the best seeds. It will make the field ready for the rainwater to come. And then I will see him with great belief and even knowing, while he was sowing, now is the time between the last 2 weeks of October and the first 2 weeks of November, when he would sow wheat. He would sow wheat knowing that next year will be better. He would know that next season will be better, and he will know that he has the agency to change the future. And he didn't need to tell it to me. I could see him acting based on this knowledge and this belief that he can change the future. And now he basically implemented this in me. So I know it's not a belief, it's not a wish. I know that next season will be better. And I know that it's up to me. I cannot wait for a politician, for the Messiah, for an angel, or a prophet. It's up to me to make the next season better. And I'm doing it. And also I'm seeing great results, even though it's very, very difficult and very, very challenging. And but we're already seeing an amazing results. And so that's what I learned from my mom. For my father, my mother, she was a very talented artist, and she would make art from garbage, not from recycled material, literally from garbage. And in the last 15 years, she was painting mandalas. And she had a studio where she was painting, also teaching children, youth, adults, and elderly people would come and paint in her mandala classes. And I was a tourism entrepreneur and businessman before October 7th, and in 2016 we opened our biggest enterprise or project so far. It was Abraham Hostel, Tel Aviv. It was like something nearly 10 million euro investment. Huge investment for where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
I was managing it from the opening and in the first 4 years. And when we opened, she painted me a mandala as a blessing, and it was in my office. And now I'm very, I can honestly say that I didn't really read what she gave me. It was
Mm.
too, it didn't mean anything to me
Mm.
back then. It was nice and beautiful, but it was on the wall. And just after October 7th, I was able to really read what she blessed me with. And what she wrote there was, all our dreams can be fulfilled if we have the courage to chase them. So my mom gave me the ability to dream,
Mm.
which I think is what's lacking now, and we can go into more details. And she gave me the ability to dream and also the courage to chase my dream.
Mm.
Basically, with those two lessons from mom and dad, I'm prepared, and
Yeah,
I'm prepared not just for October 7th, but for the hard work that is still to come.
I listened to your TED talk and I heard the story about your mom and that she was painting the mandalas. Mandalas, also the philosophy of it, which I also like, is that you actually you cannot keep anything materialistic to yourself. Like everything can go away anytime. In India, a lot of kids are being taught to paint mandalas in the sand.
Yeah,
And
and
when
then
they're
you can
six,
raise
seven,
it.
and then you have to raise it because you
Yes,
cannot stick to materialistic things. So life is always changing. You lose things, you win things, and that's actually really, really nice that your parents gave this to you. Prepare yourself for the unexpected, actually.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, very,
yeah,
very nice.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. Maoz, you have been called a bridge builder, a peacemaker, like so many terms. You're giving interviews on a daily basis for international media outlets. You're traveling the world. You met the Pope. Like you're kind of like a peace advocacy rock star. And you know, people often frame your story as a story of forgiveness, but I would like to ask you maybe the other way around. What did grief actually taught you that forgiveness couldn't teach you?
Um, Grief, what it taught me that worse can happen. Even behind your nightmare, what you could not imagine how bad life can be, it can be.
Hmm.
So that the reality can be more devastated than what any of us is imagining.
Mm-hmm.
And that grief is also it's like it's changing you from within and from the without.
Mm-hmm.
It's really shaping your entire if you are following the grief and swim with it in it, like I was swimming in the ocean of sorrow and pain. I was drowning. And grief is changing you if you are allowing it to change you. If you don't fight it, I'm the biggest. I am within all my with my siblings, family, maybe everyone I know. I I I a huge. I cry. I cry a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I cry a lot during the Shiva, and even nowadays, I have tears few times a day. And you need to let it be part of you. You let grief be part of you, and then grief is very powerful, and tears are very powerful. And this is like that's the vision I also shared at the TED, that I could see how our tears, the tears of humanity, how they are healing us and curing our damaged bodies, and our tears wash the blood from the sacred earth.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was a very concrete vision that I had.
You had a dream, I think, right?
Yes, it's more a
Mm-hmm.
vision. It was like
Mm-hmm.
on TED Talk, I said, like my son is like my family is also helping me messaging, and on the sometimes we have very loud dinners that and discussion. So my kids suggested that I won't call it a vision, that I will call it a dream. So
Mm-hmm.
not to people, so okay, the vision is not with
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
The
yeah.
dream
Yeah.
it's easier to swallow. But it
Mm-hmm.
was a vision. I could see it. I could see you, I could see everyone. When we were all crying and I could see our tears really healing us and healing healing the planet and the ground. So so grief is very powerful. And then
Yeah.
the question is what you are doing with it. And that's also, and that was maybe the most important lesson we learned from late Pope Francis. We can always choose. We can always choose. Do we want to channel our pain, our grief, our suffering to enforce more pain, suffering, and grief? Or do we want to use it and to channel it into a dialogue and that will create a lasting peace and a reconciliation process? So, what are you doing with this grief? And what are you doing with the pain? So, we always can choose. And this, for me, this is the divine spark that is within each one of us. So, okay, we faced a tragedy. We faced, we are within suffering and in pain. What are we doing now? How are we gonna act with it? Is it gonna are we gonna grow from the pain, or are we gonna drown in
Yeah.
this pain?
Yeah, you've said it before, that no, that war is going on for a while, and it has divided so many families. It's dividing people at work, even across friendships, and yet you still speak about peace. What gives you the hope that this kind of peace building can actually work?
History proves that all conflict ends. It doesn't matter if conflict lasts days, weeks, months, years, decades, centuries. All conflicts end in the end. Usually, they will end in the same condition that both sides were able to achieve before the last bloodshed. So all conflict ends, and that's give me it's not giving me hope. It's giving me it's not giving it's giving me the knowledge or the knowing. It's giving me the knowing that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is gonna end. This is a fact. It's not a wish. It's not a fate. It's a fact. Israeli-Palestinian conflict will end. The only question is when and how many people will sacrifice their life for that till it happens. So that's the first thing. And then I've been meeting so many amazing people in the last 2 years that I learning from them, life experience or from their knowledge. And what is also what I also know is that 2 weeks before a peace treaty or a ceasefire is being achieved, 2 weeks before, no one believe it will happen. No one believes that in 2 weeks for time there will be a ceasefire, but then it happens. So it's not a linear progress. It's a quantum leaps. Yeah, I said it right. It's coming in quantum or magnitude jumps.
Yes, it's like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back,
Yeah.
maybe
So,
something
but
like this.
it's like jumps.
Yeah.
It's not linear. And if we were speaking here in the morning, the Berlin Wall fell, we won't believe it's gonna happen. We'll tell you, no, it's gonna take decades. It will fall brick after brick after brick till the Iron Curtain will fall, and then it happened. So the reality we are living within now gonna change dramatically. It's gonna change dramatically, and we have the agency to influence in which way it will change. And this is something, and you see it like from the civil rights movement and other other civilian movement and the civil society that we have the agency to change the future. It's not just the policy makers or the kings or the multi-billionaires. It's us.
Yeah, the people.
And the people. And we don't need all the people. We need enough. How many is enough? I don't know. Maybe just the two of us is enough. But maybe we need 20 more, or 20,000 more, or 200,000 more. But if we have enough people, we can change the future. So this is exactly how we're mobilizing and acting, and within this framework we are working. And yeah.
I would like to talk about your book.
Mm-hmm.
You told me that you are going to publish a book. And before we talk about your book, I actually want to mention also someone who's walked a very similar path beside you. It's Aziz Abu Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Aziz is a Palestinian peace activist who, like you, lost a loved one to the conflict. His brother was killed by Israeli soldiers. And yet, instead of turning into hate, he as well chose dialogue, reconciliation, and hope. And I think in the TED Talk, he said that it took longer for him to come back to peace, to get rid of the anger and the revenge thought. But together, the two of you are now writing a book. It's called The Future is Peace, A Shared Journey Across the Holy Land, which will be out in April 26. And you and Aziz have become a kind of shared symbol for peace. You both met the Pope together and spoke on TED together. An Israeli and a Palestinian, united not by politics, but by purpose. How did the two of you first meet, and when did you realize that your stories and your missions were connected?
Yes, Aziz is now, I call him a brother. I think it was Pope Francis that was the first one to mention us as brothers. He said that, how can I answer? I have nothing to say to these two courageous brothers that channel pain into a dialogue. So after Pope Francis announced us as brothers,
You became brothers.
We became brothers. So I by accident, Aziz is also a tourism entrepreneur. He co-founded Multi Tours, a dual narrative tour company, very innovative at the time and still nowadays. And by coincidence, I met him at Abraham, Jerusalem in 2014 through a mutual friend, but it was just hi and bye. And he reached out to me 3 days after October 7th, sent me a WhatsApp message that is standing with me, with my family in the hardest time we ever faced, and just that to let us know we are not alone. And I answered him with a broken heart. And a week after, I think we've done a Zoom. We just met on a Zoom call. Then we've done a webinar, and then the TED Talk. During or after the TED Talk also was a really crazy event. If you haven't been to a TED convention before, what we see on YouTube is maybe 10% of what's actually happening.
Okay.
And the TED choose us to open the annual convention, which is amazing. Was really amazing because everyone are there, everyone are listening to you. It's the first night, and we were the first talk. The day after, we were approached by Douglas Abrams. He's a book agent, and he told us, "You must write a book together." So
it's a great idea. Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. They said, okay, great. So we wrote a proposal for a book, and then 2 months after, we were signed by Crown Publishing House. It's the really most prestigious publisher in the US. Amazing. And in the last year and a half, we've been working on the book. And it brought us together even in a much deeper way than TED Talk or public speaking, because we really explored each other history, personal but national history and life and much more than that. And the book is, because we are both tourism entrepreneurs and storytellers, we are inviting you and the readers to follow us on an 8-day journey. And on those 8 days, we go through 4 different layers. theological and historical layer, 100 years of conflict, Aziz and my personal life and relationship, and the future. And we're visiting 8 different locations. Each day is happening and taking place in a different location. We're starting from the kibbutz I was born, a mile away from Gaza, Niram, where my parents are buried, and then to Netiva Asara, where my parents lived in the last 30 years, and then Jaffa, Tel Aviv, East Jerusalem, where is Aziz hometown, Jerusalem, West Bank, Nazareth, and Galilee, and then we are reaching the future. And we share and we break some myths that we as definitely Western civilization living based upon, which are totally false myths. And we strengthen some other stories and theological or mythical stories. And basically we are proving that the future is peace. And in 8 days we are also being transformed from peace activists or peacemakers into peace brothers. And we are talking about also Aziz also has been traveling and working in many conflict areas, from Afghanistan to Syria to Colombia, and he's sharing a lot of his knowledge. And we built it step after step after step, how there is only one possible future. And this possible future is peace in the Holy Land. And it's a journey.
Amazing.
It's a journey, yes.
It's going to be a really important book for next year. I can't wait.
Yes, thank you.
With the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas and the release of the hostages, what does this actually mean for the peace, and what does it mean for you personally?
It means a lot, but I want first, before I answering, give you the framework within we are working.
Yes,
okay?
Please.
And before October 7th, I was doing public speaking for tourism entrepreneurs, students, and businessmen. And how in 5 steps we can make our dream into a reality. We need to take only 5 steps. We need a dream. We need to agree on the values we're gonna base our dream upon. We need to build a coalition, because no one can fulfill big dreams on his own. We need a roadmap that will take us from the reality to our dream, and we need to start implementing this roadmap. So it's very simple, though very difficult, but this is exactly how we're going to make peace. We have a dream, we have a shared values, equality and dignity, shared acknowledgement and recognition, reconciliation and healing, security and safety. Those are the values of the future of the Israeli-Palestinian peace, lasting peace. Those are the values. We are building a coalition, and now when we are talking now, I don't want our relation to be like a reporter and a podcaster to a peacemaker. We need to build partnership and a coalition. So this is every place we speak with, the audience will tell them, we want to be your partners. We want us to work together. So it's a coalition, Israeli-Palestinian and international coalition. We have a roadmap, and now we're already executing. And the roadmap is also very simple, only 5 chapters. Chapter number 1 say that we must dream. And this is a lesson I learned in the last 2 years, after meeting faith leaders, spiritual leaders, mysticans, that if you want to change humanity, you need to play in the field of dreams. This is the only way to change reality, is through dreaming. So we positioned ourselves in the field of dreams, something no one, or nearly no one, in the Israeli-Palestinian peace movement has done in the recent 20 or 30 years. So now more and more people are moving from tactics, from strategy, into the field of dream, which is very powerful. So we are dreaming again. The second is what we are doing now, to amplify the dream. We need to, every stage, every platform, if it's a podcast, if it's a book, if it's a public speaking, we need to amplify the dream. Third is to legitimize dream. We need to legitimize that reconciliation, dialogue, and negotiation will create security and safety, and will bring to the Israeli people, which is what the Israeli people care of the most, and will bring equality and recognition to the Palestinian, which is, for my discussions and dialogue with Palestinians, that's what's most important to Palestinians. So we need to legitimize that, and then we need to change policy. This is the fourth chapter, because if we'll keep investing in weapons, in tools of destruction, in polarization, in hate, we'll continue to live in the reality we're living nowadays. So we need to change policy to start investing in shared life initiatives, in recognition, in acknowledgement, in reconciliation. So it's enough that 10% of the investment will be diverted into those areas. There will be a lasting peace in a year or 2 years. And the fifth, and that's the fifth chapter, and that's take us to the ceasefire, is to create a political will to sign peace, to leave the battlefield and enter the negotiation room. We must create a political will. And this is exactly what was achieved with this ceasefire. It started in the New York Declaration, led by the France and the Saudi, and 142 other countries that recognize the state of Palestine, and a very detailed plan how to create a lasting peace. And it ended with Trump 20 or 21 points ceasefire. And this is the political will that force the extremists, Hamas and the Israeli government, to start a ceasefire. Without this political pressure, it would never be achieved. So I Maoz, but as one of the Israeli-Palestinian peace movement, I take credibility for this ceasefire, because this is what we've been calling since October 7th.
Yeah.
To stop the war, hostages prisoner deal, and put the foundation and the next step for a lasting peace. So this is only the first step. It's crucial step, but it's only the first one. And now also, because what happened last night, again, there were at least 27 civilian Gazan that were killed after the ceasefire was announced, and there are 2 Israeli soldiers. So the extremists will try to sabotage the ceasefire. And this is why we need to continue the political pressure, not just from the US and Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt, but also from Europe. I believe that Europe is underestimating its leverage over the Israeli government and Hamas and the relevant Arab countries. Europe must play a much greater role and a leading role in achieving a lasting peace. So this is I hope it's a long answer.
No, it's great. It's good. But after 2 years of war, people in Gaza, they are returning now, not to homes actually, they're returning to ruins. Entire neighborhoods have been wiped out, families displaced, lives shattered, and on the Israeli side, obviously, the wounds, both physical, emotional, run just as deep. And how is life possible after that, after so much trauma, and how is peace possible when so much has been lost on both sides?
I will give you the full answer, but I think it's an unfair question, because we are in a friendship. It's a friendship dialogue between us. It's an unfair question to come from a German journalist to a Jewish Israeli peace activist. It's just an unfair question. Because you know as good as I know that reconciliation can be achieved. This is the basic for this interview. This is the basic. This is the fundamental values of our conversation now, but also for the German-Israeli relationship. Is that reconciliation is possible, and this is the fundamental value that is based on the foundation of the EU, that enemies of the past can become partners of the future, and that it must be invested, and it must have a vision Because there is in the Old Testament, I keep forgetting the name of the book, it says, when there is no vision, people perish. So we now need to be those leaders that initiating and courageous enough to offer a new vision. And this vision will help us heal our pain, will help
Yeah.
us heal our trauma. And it's unfortunately, this is how humanity evolved. Through
Yeah.
bloodshed, through suffering, through destruction. And now we must not forget the lessons of Second World War II and the Holocaust, which I can go more detailed. The German people and the German government forgot many of those, and we must now create a new layer for those lessons that will take us into another 80 years, at least 80 years of invested reconciliation and shared future, not just in Israel and Palestine, but in the Middle East and further away. So when European asking me, is peace possible? I tell them, you are the answer. And then you need to be a leading force in creating a lasting peace between Israel and Palestine. Don't doubt it. You cannot, if you doubt it, you are doubting your reality, and you are jeopardizing your future. It's not about Israeli Palestinian. By doubting that peace is possible, you are jeopardizing your own future in Europe. So it's not about the Israelis and Palestinians. I think it's about humanity. And it's time for humanity to renew the vows that were taken after Second World War. International organization, international law, international court of justice. We need to reform those institutions. We need to improve them. It was definitely very clear that the Security Council, the UN Security Council, is a damaged and deformed council. Two of their permanent members are waging war on a regular basis, if it's Russia and the US. So we need to change the way it's being managed and operating. But it's not that we need to erase or ignore the entire UN and the Security Council. We need to reform it and to make it relevant to our days.
One day, your story probably might be taught in schools. I mean, you're already writing a book, maybe you'll write more books, who knows? What do you hope a 14-year-old in school will learn about you? What's the most important thing for you?
So at first, it's not about me. I think it's about humanity.
That's what you say a lot. I hear you. Yes.
It's not about me. He will know that hope is an action, that we cannot wait for others to create hope for us, that we need to create hope by envisioning that it doesn't matter how old we are or where in the world we live or how devastating the current reality is. We can create hope by working with others and envisioning a better future and acting in order to make it into reality. This is a fundamental lesson that each human being on planet Earth should know. The second is that we meet in the future. Humanity meets in the future, and it's the ancient future. I say the ancient future. Our prophet used in their prophecy, where there are no wars, where everyone are equal, and everyone living within justice and peace. This is the ancient future our prophets forecast for us, and it will happen. It will happen one day, and it will happen based on common values of equality, justice, and peace. If there is no equality for one person, there will be no equality to the other. Yeah. And the same with justice and the same with peace. So we must always see the greater picture and the great and greater humanity. Because if there is a failure, we also going to be impacted from this failure. Even now, it looks really, really far away. We cannot ignore it.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's maybe the two biggest lessons.
And what would you tell every Palestinian and Israeli if this topic of peace comes up at their dinner table now? I mean, obviously, everyone's speaking about it, right? Dinner tables, holiday gatherings. What should they practice? And how should they talk about all of this in order for peace to last also through generations? Because, some people, they teach their children different things that your parents taught you. So what should they focus on?
Okay, that's they focus on the future.
Hmm.
We are not going to agree on the past and the present. We cannot, and we'll never be able to convince the other. It doesn't matter for me to convince my fellow Israelis or Palestinians, to convince them about the past and the future. We must focus on the future, and just the future. Let's start dialogue how we envision the future. Do envision that one nation is ethnically cleansing the other? Do envision a future that one is occupying and oppressing the other? Or do we envision a future where we are all equal? We are all living a dignity life. We are all secure and safe. So just let's focus and resource all our energy into envisioning this future, and then start. And it shouldn't be too long discussion. Okay,
Yeah.
it's one
Yeah.
dinner, and then
Yeah, it shouldn't be. Yeah.
okay, it shouldn't be too long. And now let's start see which steps we need to take as individual, as families, as friends, as community, in order together. How can we get into this future? And I would also say that I'm using Aziz's words. Don't separate us. Let's not be separated or be willing to be separated by Israelis and Palestinians, Muslim and Jews, native immigrants, which is very important also for Europe, or by rich and poor living in cities or on the periphery. If someone must or we must differentiate between ourselves, let's differentiate ourselves between those who believe in equality, justice, and peace, and those who don't yet. So to create a completely different division line and completely different polar system, that not by native or immigrants, Muslims, Jews, and Christians, I refuse to this separation and division line. We need to create a new polar system that will allow us to know who's with us and who is with not us yet.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Maoz, thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
Yes, for your courage, really, that makes people believe again, and for reminding all of us that peace starts with the people
Yes.
who refuse to give up on each other. It's really important.
Amen. Amen.